they just think that that's them. And so what I try to do is I try to teach them that that's just a thought and we got to observe that thought. We don't have to subscribe to that thought. A positive self-talk coach is really just somebody that's guiding you down a stronger choice, down a more positive way of thinking.
Hey, Pac, well, bye, buddy. Thanks for joining again.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about preparation on our last topic, and here we are. We're on our last one now. We're going to talk about mental self coach, which is important, and this is under the pillar of confidence, right? So we've talked a lot about just to kind of recap it. We've talked about embracing failure. We're talking about belief in self, preparation, and now here we are, the last one with mental self coach. A lot of these things tie into what we discussed before with preparation and how we talk ourselves up, right? We want to have the self-talk. We want to be able to go in and just repeat it, tell ourselves, visualize it and whatnot, just be positive. And I think that there is truth, a lot of truth and evidence that backs this, as you pointed out before, with a lot of what science has said. A lot of this positive self-talk advice, sounds like, again, rah rah, it's salesy, right? But it's real. You know, we've seen it work. So for you, Pat, this is important for folks listening. What does your actual voice sound like when you're in doubt, right? And that's a big one because a lot of us have doubts, self-doubt.
Well, I work with a bunch of 18 and 19-year-old girls that are moving from high school into college and in college soccer. And if that is not an environment that can cause you to have a little self-doubt and question like what you're doing and your ability, then I don't know what is. And one of the biggest things that I try to teach these girls is how to talk to yourself positively, right? What they don't understand is that the voice in their head, they just think that that's them. And so what I try to do is I try to teach them that that's just a thought and we got to observe that thought. We don't have to subscribe to that thought. And where the positive self-talk comes in, they just think, I tell them about having a positive self-talk coach. The way I describe it to them is like, give that person a name. And I also say, give that negative self-talk person a name. So now you're separating your identity from the thought that you have. Now, with a positive self-talk coach, just like you said, as I teach this, the girl's like, like you can do it, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't sound real. It sounds fake. Like you can try to hype yourself up like Tony Robbins and you're like, I don't know if I believe this or not. Right. So what I try to teach them is that your positive self-talk coach is really just somebody that's guiding you down a stronger choice, down a more positive way of thinking. So how this sounds and what this looks like, right, is you might have the negative thought like, oh man, I'm gonna miss this shot, or I'm gonna fail this meeting, or this pitch is gonna go terribly. And I teach them to just observe that, like, okay, that's a thought. But the positive self talk coach says, nah, don't listen to that, man. Like, you've done your preparation. You can do this. Like, you've had plenty of success in the past. Like, don't listen to that negative thought. Like, you can do this. And it's more just this like voice of reason. And I think that's a lot easier to subscribe to and believe in, is like, this soft voice that's just guiding you the right way. It's almost like your mom or your dad being like, no, man, like you got this.
Yeah, and I love that. I love what you said of it because there's a lot of things too where people are going through a change. You brought the grades up for, kids, girls, boys, whatever, going from high school to college, and you're gonna have self-doubts, right? You are gonna have doubts about it, and what are you gonna do? You rely on, your coaches, teammates, friends, family, and whatnot. But in the end, you're the one that's out there, right? You're the one that's gonna have to go in, and having doubt is powerful, but then what do you have to do? We've gone through these topics of, again, embracing fail. What did I fail on? How did I improve? How do I grow? Then I start believing in myself, right? Like, what does that look like we talked about? And then preparing. And that for me, I think, Pat, like, I'll share this with you. I've had a lot of self-doubts and stuff that I've done, right? I'm like, I'll go in here and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking through in mind, visualizing, like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. And it is hard. A lot of us will always say that, I just don't know. And that when us doubt starts creeping in, it's always hard to kind of brush it back off and overcome it. But I do think, as you said, it's continuing to just say, okay, just keep going through the repetitions. Know what you're good at doing, right? And just coach yourself up mentally. Be there. Be someone that's thinking through, like, gotta block the noise, And that to me was a hard thing that I had to do, Pat, like personally. when I was, younger, getting more mature, and even in the business world, sports too, right? You just got to have to just know what you're good at. And at least for me with that example. And let me ask you this, Pat, like if someone's in a confidence dip right today, right now, right? Just as an overall,
Okay.
what's one thing you'd tell them to do today if their confidence is down?
Well, I would try to steer them towards remembering what makes them passionate about what they're doing, getting them excited about the field that they're working in, right? And so for me, it's soccer. Like, why do you love playing soccer? I mean, how do you get back to that little kid that loved that moment? And you're right. Self doubt creeps in with all of us. I think it's totally a natural thing, and it's not about like trying to ignore it and push away. It observe that feeling, that thought, like that's natural. But then communicate to yourself in a positive way. Like this is part of the challenge of life. Is it experience, taking things on, going for it. And when you're afraid of that failure, the other thing I like to do is just visualize the next day and the next week and the next month and picture yourself just living your life and it's all right. That thing passed. And because the same thing happens even when it goes right, right? Like life moves on. You win the championship, hooray today. And a week from now, it's still back to regularly scheduled program, right? So like we can't get too down on ourselves when we're afraid of something going wrong. And so if it's somebody that needs some advice today on how to build their confidence, I'd say just remember your inner child and your inner passion that got you into this, and remember how much you enjoy working in this field or in this sport. And that's where you gain your confidence from, is just your joy and your passion.
Sign me up, Pat. Sign me. You're getting me hyped up right now. Getting me excited, my friend. That's great. And that is really value right there, right? There's some of the things I just learned, like I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right, right? Focus back in what is that inner child, that passion. And it comes down to you got to be passionate, right, with what you like to do. And guys, we just want to say like confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's built in the cabinet moment, as Pat shared, the ping pong moment, but the prep that nobody sees and the voice you choose when you're in doubt, right? As Pat said, as I said, doubt does creep in, but what is the voice that you're going to choose, And again, guys, just, understand, it is up to you. The door's open, you walk through it, you got this. And I think, for Pat and I, we want to make sure you guys are giving us the feedback. We've got a lot of good feedback already, a lot of great questions, a lot of requests with a lot of the segments we've recorded. So we continue to, subscribe, follow, send us a message, ask us questions, give us some ideas. If there's anything you want, Pat and us to go talk through as it relates to this, we'd be open to it, and even get your feedback and try to get you on. But yeah, again, subscribe, drop a follow, and again, my biggest thing is you want to have some one-on-one time to have those discussions with Pat and myself. Please send us a message, and we'll definitely spend that time with you. And in closing, on behalf of Pat, thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it. And remember, guys, for us, we just want to make sure that we want to give you, the wisdom, the wealth of knowledge, and overcoming and winning your inner battles. Again, and we'll be moving on to starting our next segment under preparation, and then we'll have topics underneath that ties into things that will close out this series. So Pat, anything to say before we close off here? I think we're good.
Yeah, I just appreciate everybody that's stuck around and listened to us. One of my passions is helping people grow. And so if I've helped anybody out there, man, it's a good day. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a great one, guys. Have a good one. Thanks, Pat.